Hey everybody, welcome to day 5 of our Walking with Jesus Daily, our WWJD class. We've had some fun so far. Day 1 was mostly our introduction. Day 2, we learned the very first words of Jesus and the very words that he asks when you go looking for him. We then read the very last words of Jesus, where Jesus confirmed his authority and gave us something to do. We then went and looked at the very first words he spoke after his baptism and temptation, and he called those who were beginning to follow him, who were tiptoeing out. And today we're going to look at how Jesus answered some questions and answered the word commandment. This is a word that we have been around for our entire lives. From the moment we are born, we are told yes or no, if we can do something or if we cannot do something. And we tend to just grow up that way, right? Can I do this? Can I not do this? If I do this, how much trouble would I get in? If I get caught or if I don't get caught, right? We're always looking for where's the line. It's almost like we are created with this inner desire to want to know where's the line, what am I allowed to do, what am I not allowed to do, where's my rule book, where's my guidelines, how am I supposed to know what to do if you don't tell me? In the very beginning of life, a perfect God made a perfect world, and he created a man in his own image, in his own likeness, to rule this world with him. And all was well. And I'm not going to make a woman joke here, okay, because women are incredible, but y'all kind of messed it up. But y'all are incredible, okay? Absolutely incredible, okay? And then he gave man one commandment. He said, do whatever you want. I want you to enjoy my creation. Love me. Walk with me. There is no separation in this. There is no sin. It's just you and me. And he did make Adam a helper, Eve. Okay? Adam was made from the dust of the ground in the likeness of God. Eve was made from Adam. Okay? So she also has this one command. One thing. Now imagine this. If you're told you can do anything you want all day, except you cannot do this one thing, you can probably do it for a day. Maybe even a couple days. But eventually that one thing is going to start eating at you. Well, why can't I do that one thing? Well, if I can do everything else, what does it really matter if I do that one thing, right? We begin to reason with ourselves. We begin to find ways to justify us doing whatever that one thing is that we're not supposed to do. Some of us will hold out a lot longer. Some of us, Cohen, will test that one thing on day 1, maybe even hour 1 or minute 1. I don't know. Okay? But we want to know where our boundaries are. We want to know where our guidelines are. Okay? So we can stay out of trouble. And so we know what we can get away with. That's just who we are. Now, Adam and Eve, okay, they disobeyed this one thing. And this one thing brought sin and corruption and evil and separation into this world. And you say, well, I didn't do it. Why am I punished for it? I don't know. Why are you sinning? Like, why are you actively choosing yourself instead of God? That sounds like a you thing and not an Adam or Eve thing. Okay? Just because something is introduced into the world doesn't mean you have to take part in it. But we do. Every single one of us. But see, through all this, Jesus came. And by the time Jesus came, the 10 commandments that were given to God's people grew to over 700 commandments. And it grew to even more than that because, the Pharisees kind of made up their own extra rules. Okay? These things aren't working out very good, so we need to make extra rules. Why are rules even made in the first place? Well, they're originally made out of love. We're trying to protect our children, or we're trying to protect people. Like, why is there a law that a speed limit here is only a certain amount? Well, it's either because there's kids around here or because whatever it might be. Okay, it's for your safety and for the protection of other people. Yet it annoys us And if the one thing is to drive the speed limit today, none of you listening are going to do that. Sorry, but you just not. All right. Now, let's go back to what we're talking about. Jesus was once confronted, and we're going to talk about this. Let's just dive into the text right now, okay? And I call it text, but it's just because it's written word, okay? One of the scribes, this is Mark 12, starting in 28. It says, one of the scribes came up and heard them disputing with one another, okay? The scribe was a person that wrote out the law, that knew the law, okay? All these laws that we're talking about. Okay, and just think about stemming off of children obey your parents, stemming off of thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not covet, and so on. These laws that began, okay. The law was perfect, but man needed the law because law is for the lawless, and we just want to know where that line is, and we just sometimes choose to be wrong. We choose ourselves or we choose sin. All right, now. He heard them disputing with one another, and seeing that he answered them well, seeing that Jesus answered a question well, because he was constantly being questioned, he asked him, he said, which commandment is the most important of all? Let's see if we can corner Jesus in a spot here. Which commandment is the most important of all? Impossible to answer because we have hundreds, maybe even thousands. How are you going to answer this, Jesus? And this is how Jesus answers in 29. The most important is, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. And you shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, and with all your mind, and with all your strength. And then he says this. He wasn't asked this, but he says, the second is this. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. So the answer he answers with is love. Now let's keep reading, okay? Because the very next line says this. There is no other commandment greater than these. In a couple of other instances when he answers this, and we'll go through this, he says, all of the law and the prophets are summed up in this. Meaning every law, every rule, everything that we did was all actually founded in love. The foundation was love. Every law, imagine building a house, and every law is built up one brick at a time or one block at a time or whatever it is. But the foundation of all of this is love. And the cornerstone, the building point of this building is Jesus. Now in 32 it says, and the scribe said to him, you are right, teacher. You have truly said. This guy knows the law. He writes it all day, every day. You have truly said that he is one, that God is one. There are not many. And there is no other besides him. And to love him with all the heart and with all the understanding and with all the strength, and to love one's neighbor as oneself is much more than all the whole burnt offerings and sacrifices. To love God and to love people is greater than any sacrifice that you could ever possibly make, any gift that you could ever possibly give, any miraculous power that you could ever possibly have. So why are we reading this? When we look up the word commandment in the New Testament, in the life of Jesus, it's only really brought up 3 times where Jesus is giving a commandment. See, we a lot of times want to look at Jesus and find out what we can and can't do. Well, what did Jesus say about it? Well, can you do that or can you not do that? Well, he never said you couldn't, blah, blah, blah. Well, okay. Let's just stop for a second. Okay? Do you want to be kept under rules and a law the whole life that you live? Do you want to be in trouble over breaking a law or a rule that you didn't even know existed? Of course people can keep laws and rules, but they can also break them. Let's put it this way. In the garden there was one rule. If that rule had not been broken and had been kept, there would remain perfect harmony, and man would be one with God, and there would be no separation, no sin, no sorrow, no pain, no hatred, none of this. But one man began sin. And now one man came, Jesus, to be the sacrifice for our sins, to go before God and offer himself, to take on the punishment of sin himself for you and for me. Okay? And how many commandments did he give? Well, here he says these are the commandments of God. What is the greatest? And he tells them it's love. If you spend your day loving God with your whole heart, your whole mind, your whole soul, and your whole strength, and you extend that love to the people around you, what does your life look like? Well, let me tell you what it looks like. It looks like that one man brought sin, one man brought the answer to sin. One man brought what crushes the head of sin, and that is love. See, through one commandment, all other commandments are fulfilled and made known. It's to spend your whole day loving God and therefore loving people. And nowhere in there is it talking about loving yourself. Nowhere in there is love teaching only love the people that are kind to you or only love the people that are nice. The love here that is brought up is to love God with everything that you are, everything that you have, and then love people. If this is something that you're capable of fulfilling, you can change everything around you with this one thing. Now the question is, we started with if you had one law, one rule, one commandment, could you not break it? Well, let me ask you this question. If you have one rule, one law, one commandment, can you keep it? Can you freely keep that law? Because let me tell you something. In the following and teachings of Jesus, if your whole life is not rooted in love, if every action that you do is not rooted in love, if your life and the foundation of who you are is not rooted in love, you're building a foundation or a house or a kingdom or a life that is built on yourself. And whatever powers you have and whatever ideas you have and whatever rules and laws and commandments that you have, and I'll go ahead and tell you that that house is gonna crumble. There is no hope for that house. But if we can keep this one commandment of Jesus, and actually it's a commandment of God that was given to us, to all people. It was kind of the idea of life here, was to enjoy the creation he gave us and love him and walk with him every day for every second. So today, in this moment, as we have learned and are learning about Jesus, he's making your journey simple. He said, don't worry about all the things you can and can't do. It doesn't matter. I'm asking you to love me like I love you. And then I'm asking you to take that love to other people. It starts with me, it goes to them, and it takes you out of the picture. Because if your focus is to love God and to love other people, and the person next to you is the same focus, you will be loved. This world will be changed. Your workplace will be changed. Your home will be changed. The places you go will be changed, because love is so powerful. This is my prayer for us today in day 5 of our study of Jesus, that we learn this one commandment and we put it into practice and we do it. Love you guys. Have a great day.